I went to rugby on Friday. I watched us absolutely pump New Zealand for fun.
England's not doing too well, are they?
I put a bet on, actually. I put a bet on the English losing to Fiji. I think we're in a bit of a mess. However, my dad made a really good point. He said that don't underestimate you at any point, regardless of your result.
Historically,
England have good results in the World Cup.
Historically, you look back at England's results, even when they've been really poor. Back in 2007, no one gave them any hope and got to the final.
Yeah, didn't we pump you in the group stages? We played you in the group stages. I think it was about 32-0, 32-3 or something. And then the final was completely different.
But
do you think...
England got to last final as well, didn't they? Was it last final or was that final?
Yeah.
They've got the right side of the draw. I think
definitely the pause.
I think the World Rugby will have to change that at some stage. They draw 2 years early, and it doesn't reflect the current state of play. We're 8th in the world as of today, I think. Just sitting not far from Wales and Australia, just below us. We could be outside the top 10 before we know it. Easy side of the draw.
Yeah,
I think it's bigger than this. You look at Borthwick, successful in the time at Leicester when backs against the wall, they couldn't hit any lower than they had.
Yeah.
So to rally that type of team, it's a bit like Quinn's a number of years ago when it was bounced backs against the wall, low pressure, go for it. His coaching style is reminiscent of a very old, 2000 style, the era in which he played.
Which South Africa, ironically, utilised so well in 2019 to try to win that World Cup, and it seems like the fancy fun thing to do now is to play the more expansive style, which they have started doing. I mean, we played on Friday. We were throwing the ball around a lot. I mean, obviously our maul was incredible, our lineouts, our scrums, but when we were playing, it was the most I've ever seen South Africa play expansively, and it seems like England to a certain extent, Ireland are keeping it quite tight, aren't you, as well?
Ireland have just had 13 wins on the bounce, which is a record.
I don't think Ireland. Your group's too tough.
Well, Ireland always struggle in the World Cup. We've had, you think back at some teams that we've had. We've always just bombed it. I mean, that is a hard group. South Africa and Ireland are the 2 best teams in the world at the moment.
I was so impressed with Scotland's performance at the Six Nations. They were amazing.
And they beat France as well recently, didn't they?
Yeah, but I thought they should have beaten France in the Six Nations. They were the better team. They just had a slow start, and actually Scotland had a really slow start on Saturday.
And
so
I know New Zealand got trounced by you, but you can never count New Zealand out in a World Cup. It's the same with England. As much as we're saying England have been poor, maybe they will just bomb in the World Cup. But
Pool B is a big one, but I said the other day actually to some family, pound for pound, best team in the world is Scotland. They've got 2 professional teams and one of the smallest pools to pick from in terms of the top 10, and they're unbelievable. They're packing way above and beyond their.
You got Jason out there. You got Jason out on the wing.
Yeah. But you go back to England and I think that style, he's just behind the times. The selection, you're looking at some of those players who are now carrying name, not form. I think that's a big problem. You've got a guy, is it Moody, coming in for South Africa, lightning fast, young kid, whereas you've got the highest scoring Premiership scorer, Caden Murley, powerful, strong, fast, nowhere near the squad. He's not even called up. Johnny May, I get it, experience, but then you've got Rocket Singer coming in. You think he's error prone. Why don't you just get the best, most on-form players? Adam Radwan, nowhere near. Harry Arundel.
And I think
what
speaks volume as well is you look at Ireland's under 20s. Recently did both Ireland's adult team and their under 20s both did the Grand Slam. I think Ireland, the years before as well, I think they did the Grand Slam, or they won it the year before.
Yeah.
And I think it just shows that Ireland now has got this system in place, and they're constantly, every time there's an opportunity for a summer series or an autumn series, they're always integrating these new they're constantly bringing in first capped players. So before you know it, you've got, within a year or two, you've got a lot of players who are on 10, 15 caps who've got experience, and they're integrating, they're changing things up so that it's becoming a well-oiled machine. and I think that's why Ireland have been so successful in the last. They might not have been. I think that's where they've been so consistent in the last 4 or 5 years with their results.
Time will tell, though. Time will tell.
Yeah, I mean, Ireland.
Just to go back to what Bailey was saying with the with the England team, mate. Like, if the experience brings you through, you're smiling. And from a South African point of view, obviously we're ready to do away with Pollard's fitness to try and bring through the block, right? And at the moment, it looks like an inspired decision. But I do worry, especially when you've got your number 10 being inexperienced. You've got to make the kick. You can't have a bad game in the World Cup. You can't have him having the game he played against Wales, and then a game he played against New Zealand. In the same way, you got Moody. I think Moody's also, like, because of his experience, he can have a good moment in the game, and on the highlights reel it looks amazing. But then, there were times against Wales where on the wing he looked a little bit lost. He was much better at centre.
What are your thoughts on Farrell with the whole disciplinary?
The loaded question. I think the tackle was a red card. Billy's tackle, red card. Farrell's got previous. I mean, the highlight reel of his dangerous tackling is just through the roof.
It's ridiculous.
He should have got the full 6 weeks. Should have been straight away. He's never made any actual attempt to improve his tackling as a professional. That's bread and butter.
Especially the rules have changed as well.
Yeah, the fear factor is the community games asking everyone to tackle at a certain height, and everyone else is now. You see that, and it's going to muddy the water between what's coming in this season, how kids should be coached, how safety at your grassroots, national leagues, and then he's going. They go and have 2 instances like that, and you think, oh, no, everyone has days where they make an error, and it's a genuine mistake, and head collisions are part of the game. They can happen. They are. You like to think most of them are accident based.
But when you're leading in with your shoulder,
height. He didn't drop his height.
Yeah.
He is aggressive. He lost his head. That's it, simply put.
Billy did the same thing, didn't he? Really?
Billy lost his head. He was unfit. He's nowhere near fitness, and he's done it because he couldn't drop his height. He was fatigued, and actually, if Borthwick had a better substitute plan, which I don't think he has at all.
No, because he doesn't want another number 8, does he?
He should have taken him off because he could clearly see he was lagging. He was walking around the park, and so I think he should have got the full whack. Billy, I think it's fair 3 weeks. I still don't think he should go because he's missed out on the match fitness that's required to play at that top level. He hasn't shown any top level performances. You look at Zach Mercer, you look at a host of names. I don't think Don Bradley is. I follow Quins. He's not good enough international level. He hasn't proved himself, so I wouldn't put him in. But Zach Mercer is in with a shout.
Would you play Marcus Smith? Will you stop with the nonsense and let him start?
You've got to, really. I think he's clearly the most energised player.
He would start for South Africa, in my opinion.
He's a superstar. And this is the other thing. You've got a lot of coaches around the world who refer to him as a superstar. And you're there going, if Warren Gatland, for example, was taking him on a Lions tour, again, at a super young age, he's not going to be a Lion in the main tests, but he's referenced him going, absolute superstar. He would go into any international team and they would breed and blood him in. Full confidence. But I think we're stuck in this Saracen-Leicester hybrid type of game plan. Now, those game plans in the Premiership work more so because the penalty count conceded from defence is much higher at club level than it is international level because they're more organised and more more disciplined. And
you've also got the best of the best playing.
Exactly. So at club level it works because you can scrum or you can win a penalty, you can kick, maul, score a number of times, or you at least get a high proportion of opportunities in the club level where Saracens Leicester can benefit. International level, you will only get less than a handful of opportunities where you'll win that penalty, you'll be able to go to touch, and therefore it's the clinical nature of how you execute. Now, I played Fiji yesterday, first half, for example, gone into the corner, with no return.
Yeah, we had that on Friday as well. It was a very similar first half. So it goes back to England's main bits I've been reflecting on all day, actually. It's looking at penalty count has killed them, and that's still way too high. It's almost club level like. They've got to change their tactics to not be a club team who, clubs are successful based on this because in the Premiership there's more penalty count, a higher penalty count, and therefore they can have more opportunities to play that type of game. The other one is
I was taught this years ago, was yards after contact, or metres post collision.
Yeah.
Which is, upon that initial hit, how many metres do you make after that benefits your team, gives you go forward. Now I think Scotland's a couple of weeks ago was over 300 metres made from collision past the collision. Yeah. Now that go forward and that amount of pressure and that dominance has a massive impact on the speed of the ball and therefore how you play.
I watched just on the back of that. I watched the Scotland game yesterday, and that's what they were really. I was saying to my dad, I'm really surprised at how poor they were at beating the game line in the first half. It looked like the opposition were doing really well at the thing that, like you say, that they've been really renowned for, which is breaking game line after contact, getting over it, and in the second half, quick change and. Scotland have got something there where they're able to. I just feel like they get a good start, but regardless of getting good starts and everything like that, they've got. Unlike England, I think England don't have the squad to do that.
Well, this is what I think it comes down to: is you look over the years when you just have to get that right amount of players, right amount of consistency, the right coaching, and then just for some teams, it just you look at the England side of 2003. You had every player was pretty perfect in each position, and they had a set, consistent approach. World-class coach. You look at Ireland now; have got pretty much their set players, and you could argue they've got, if not, pretty similar standard of player coming in and replacing them off the bench, and you've got, Andy Farrell, fantastic coach, and I think. If he had stayed at England, he might not have been the coach that he is now because he actually worked under a world-class coach in Schmidt and has obviously learnt from him. And all he's done is continue to build on what was set in stone there, and he's kept that consistent. Yeah. And I think he's and some players like Stockdale was completely. I think he was Six Nations Player of the Year 2-3 years ago. Highest try scorer, player of the tournament, and he's hardly been played. And but he's coming back into the mould now, and it's the same with Keith Earls, fantastic winger, and now he's just starting to come back. He's starting to come back again, and it just shows you, like Mac Hansen, like what a player.
But just going back to the coach thing, but it's not just the main coach; it's the staff behind it. Like if you think about 2007, right? Because obviously I speak about everything from a South African point of view. I attribute our assistant coach as one of the most important part of us winning that.
Yeah, no, that's what I mean.
Eddie Jones.
Everything has to
Eddie
be.
Jones was a phenomenal assistant coach because what he was given is cleverly given all the stuff that he was good at, and his autocracy was taken away from him. And as you can see now, when he coached England, he's going to be. I think retrospectively, he's going to get in trouble for the stuff that he was doing with the England camp and how he was bullying some of the players and things. There's a lot of stuff that's been going around with regards to that. Andy Good on the podcast that I listened to last week, he was talking about that. And so, what Eddie Jones, and you can see it in his mannerisms. Did you see his press conference recently? He was saying it was the worst press conference I've ever been to. Yeah. I can show it on here, but we'll probably finish off soon. But what he's doing now is siege mentality. He's going over to the Australian guys, going, listen guys, no one expects us to. He's creating a narrative.
Yeah.
And so Australia, I don't think you can actually undermine Australia as well, because they on any other day can pull something off, regardless of their form as well. And so that's why I think this year, I firmly believe it's going to be. I don't read too much into the narrative that this World Cup is going to be rubbish because of the way the draws are. I actually think it's going to be more powerful, that the early games are going to be absolutely vital, particularly for Pool B. I think England have a lot.
It could come down to points scored.
England have a harder group than than people think they do. I don't think Argentina are a great side, right? And
Japan,
I think Samoa are a tough physical challenge, and Japan have improved over time.
In the last World Cup.
Unfortunately, they're not the Japan of that World Cup.
Yeah.
But they are still a decent side. And I do think England will go through. But you look at some of the others, like I think Australia got a tough group in that Fiji beat England, Wales. You can't undermine Warren Gatland's contributions.
Yeah, but it's not the team that he left Wales with.
Yeah, maybe not. But I just think it's going to be interesting. And this brings me on to my question: what's the quarterfinal going to be? What are the top two positions in each group? Let's each have a go.
I think For me, I think it will be New Zealand, France, Pool A.
1-2.
1 and 2. I think France, I think, could finish above New Zealand. Based on how France, France's consistency.
You can't do this. You're not allowed to do that.
What?
No, you just said both. You said it could be France. I want you to tell us, because I'm going to come back to this.
Oh, what do you mean? Like who I think is going to top the group?
Mystic Megas. Who comes first and who comes second in each group?
All right. France comes first. New Zealand second.
All right. Okay.
I think.
So you think France beats New Zealand in the group stages?
Yeah.
And then New Zealand ends up winning it.
I think Ireland. I'm going to go for Ireland top their group.
Yeah.
Just consistency over the last 2 years.
Second
South Africa. I think Scotland. But I mean, Ireland historically are very poor in the World Cup.
You said first, mate. You said first.
I'm going Ireland. I've got to back them.
Pool C.
Australia first, and then Wales second, and then Pool D. I mean, the expectation would be England, but I think it could be someone like Argentina first, England second. Either that or England will just run away with the group. I think, but I'd probably say I think Argentina probably got a better consistency than England.
Jack?
I agree. Paul A, I think, goes France, New Zealand. Although I do think Italy will bring one of those two teams to a very close contest.
Depends on when they play them.
Yeah,
they're a fun team, aren't they?
I feel like Italy will go against one of those teams and pull them up for an hour,
and then get battered by the other team.
I genuinely think we're going to have one of Italy versus France or Italy New Zealand. There's going to be one game we think, Pool B. I think it's South Africa and Ireland. How you put them it depends on how the result amongst themselves. I think Scotland could squeeze. I almost see that between South Africa, Scotland, and Ireland, there might be a loss and a win between the three in a triangular situation.
Put your
it's going to come down to bonus points.
Put your fiver on the table. Who comes first? Who comes second? Because we're coming back to this at the end of the group stages.
God. I would like to say South Africa go through first. I think strong. Yeah, they're coming off a really good run of games. Second, I'm going to go and bring my beard out of me. I'm going to Scotland. I think Scotland is squeezing through. Again, it's similar. Wales, Australia, Fiji. Now Fiji have now sprung themselves into the mix with that win against England. They didn't have three of their strongest players playing either. I think Australia and Fiji. I
think Wales have still got the pedigree to get them through. I think it's just the experience.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
They know how to manage these situations, and I think that they will get through it. I personally, going back to Pool B.
You've done your.
I know.
Hold on. You can't come in here and change your mind.
And I'm not changing my mind. I'm saying it all depends on Ireland. I think it all depends on how Ireland performs.
Agree.
I think Ireland will finish group. If Ireland continue with the consistency and how they've been playing, I think they 100% can top that group. But it just depends on what island you end up with. And then Pool D.
So see. Oh yeah, I'm going to Australia, Fiji, but I agree with Wales. I'm just being harsh on Wales there. I think it'd be quite fun.
Plus, Dan Biggar's going to retire at the end, so I think he's going to want to go out with.
Can you imagine that? Right, so we've got Argentina and England. I reckon Argentina 1, England 2. I think that pretty much. Although going back to Pool B, I genuinely think that's going to come down to.
This just shows.
It's going to come down to points are going to be between maybe two of the teams, whether it's first and second or second and third, are going to be bang on, and I think it comes down to bonus points, tries scored, tries differences, and actually that means the Tonga and the Romania games are really important because you've got to pick up tries and points and not concede.
Okay. Pool A, New Zealand, France. I think people are overhyping France. France can only play that kind of rugby that they've been playing recently, and I think it historically hasn't been successful in the World Cup. So
they've got to two finals though.
Huh?
They've got to two finals.
Oh, but they've been useless in many others. But yeah, no, I agree. France on their day can beat anyone. I just feel like their form. I feel like New Zealand win. Right. New Zealand, despite us battering New Zealand on Friday, I thought their defence was outstanding at times,
No, it was just
especially in the
their
first half.
discipline. Their
The discipline let them down.
Right, Pool B.
Particularly Pool B, South Africa and Scotland.
Oh,
I genuinely think so.
It's a nice review,
I
really.
completely agree with
I'm
Bertie.
giving Ireland a shout.
Well, Ireland have got the pressure.
Number one ranked team in the world, and you both don't have.
Ireland have got-
Unbelievable.
mate,
I just think
Ireland
on
have got
any
the
given
pressure.
Sunday, I think Scotland are just playing.
Ireland have got the pressure on them. So this is my opinion, right? Ireland got the pressure on them to do well. They are a very good team. Scotland have got a little bit of X factor in terms of their players.
You're just
and they
saying
are
that
playing
'cause
well.
You play on the wing for them.
Yeah, just I'm him.
look, he's
I'm,
tensing
I'm
as he
him.
said that.
I'm him about 15.
Show us your guns. Show us
15
your guns.
pizzas in a week. Anyway, no, I've got to stick to my guns because my family know that I've been absolutely going mental about Scotland, and my sister's boyfriend doesn't agree with me whatsoever. He's a massive England fan, and he thinks Scotland will do terribly. So I've got to put my money where my mouth is.
so you
I think this is kind of what you're saying. I actually think everyone beats everyone in that group.
Scotland will beat South Africa. Could beat South Africa on that first outing.
Yeah.
Which is going to go. Whoa.
I think we'll-
Then
I
they're going to
think-
lose against someone.
I think South Africa will beat
Ireland.
Ireland. I genuinely believe South Africa will beat Ireland
Right, we'll see.
because I think our games are pretty
And then
similar.
Ireland will beat Scotland, and it will be that
I think so.
triangular
I think so,
issue
mate.
where you're like they've caught each other on the wrong week.
So,
Paul C. Eddie. Like I said earlier, Eddie Jones is in a fantastic position because he's got a decent group, and he can do that siege mentality
think
and be the
Australia
victim.
Top three.
He's
I
moving
think-
the media. The media aren't looking at the players anymore; they're looking at him.
That's what I'm saying. He's complete. He's
the kids he's got
spot
out
on.
there.
He's completely.
They're underdogs, and that's one of the strongest tags you can have in a competition. You're an
Yeah,
underdog.
I still don't think. I think there's a possibility they don't win the group. I still think they do well in the World Cup, and actually they end up coming up against England. My dad made a really good point. He says he sees the story being written here that England play Australia in the quarterfinal. That'd be a brilliant game because it's two underperforming giants in the World Cup sphere. So
Yeah.
I'm going to say Wales, Australia, and Australia playing England in the quarters. I'm going to go with that because I agree with what my dad was saying. And then England win the group by the fact that Argentina aren't as consistent as maybe they should be, but they are probably the best team in that group at the moment. So I agree with what Betty was saying there. And then what Argentina do is Argentina end up going through to the semis because they play against a pretty underwhelming Wales side. So, but that's completely just guessing. I want to show you guys one thing before we finish off though. They did a fan cam of after the game. They did a fan
We're
cam
going to
after the
see you
game.
on here, Jason.
No, I'd love to have been on it. Move this around. No, I can't. This is as far as I can go. But there is some gold here because there's so many South Africans and everyone was absolutely smashed. But there's some really funny. There's some really funny bits.
The
in
boys
here.
did it. We're going to France and we're going to do it again.
This
Your
bloke.
feelings about the biggest defeat in All Black history?
Yeah, this
We are
bloke
the
here.
world champions. You saw last weekend what we did to Wales.
We give them
Remember,
one
Wales
try.
was regarded as one of the best teams in the world. We showed them. We gave them one try. What happened today? We gave them one try again. What does that mean? France, we are coming. We are going to give you misery. And then we are going to say we forget the trophy in South Africa. They'll be looking for the trophy. We forgot it in South Africa.
That was a good one. That was a good one, right? There's another guy.
This was an absolute
What you
fluke.
doing is
It never
attendance
happens.
and energy behind
We all
That's
we
amazing.
almost
So you've
always
got
lose
that
against
full
the All Blacks, but
capacity, you've
tonight
got England who played Fiji at half capacity and no energy behind it.
Who you definitely
This is brilliant. So I showed this to Alex because obviously I'm a South African fan. I showed this to Alex. This is a girl being asked after the game who she's supporting. And Betty, I think you like this one.
supporting, because you're obviously half.
New Zealand.
You're supporting New Zealand.
Because I know England are going to get knocked out soon.
That was a good one.
Of every England fan, both young and old,
This
I feel,
this
in some
this
way.
this next guy is fun.
Everyone
Oh, no,
doesn't
this-
like you, but
Playing South Africa, where that sits you guys in the world order
is.
now.
Well, if we were playing South Africa, I think we'd run out of digits on the scoreboard.
Buffalo.
I mean, seriously, who's going to touch them? Honestly,
Ireland.
apart from Georgia, maybe. I'm here tomorrow watching England against Fiji, and I'm very nervous about who's going to win, because it might be rather Pacific.
You've just
He wasn't wrong, was he? He wasn't wrong. But yeah, that was
I
a
don't want to get the bandwagon.
shout out to Rugby Pass there. Yeah, so
I
that
think
was a brilliant interviews there, and there's a lot of optimism, but we know that pre-tournament games can be completely misleading, and we can't really take too much out of it. So
I think you've got to look at England's pedigree in the World Cup. You look at there will be people in the backroom staff. there will be experienced players who've gone through a World Cup, the motions of it, and have that experience to get them through it. And I think England, as poor as they've been, as poor as they were in the World Cup and so on, I still think they can put together a good run.
Let's meet up after the group stages.
Yeah.
And see what we say after that. Hopefully, all three of our teams will be in. I'm actually more worried about mine and yours, Damien, than yours, Jack, which is really ironic. But
I'm going to give a little shout out to two people on my trip, Joe and Alicia, massive rugby fans. So and they're actually going to the England's opening game.
Did you get tickets for this? Because
I think my energy and enthusiasm to get a ticket for any of the games went downhill after Eddie left. I think Eddie, it came to an end, and obviously a lot of stuff to come out from that. But I just, I don't want to get negative. I don't
the
want
wrong
to
decision
prior
to it.
I was one of the people sort of been in the rugby game in terms of coaching for many, many years. Best person we ever had, Stuart Lancaster. Unbelievable. Look at him flying. And if you listen to his podcast, listen to the amount of time he goes into educating the coaches, it's, oh gosh, we need him back massively. But people at the time couldn't see his philosophy being, right, they're going to come to a World Cup or an international camp, we're going to get them better.
Do you think sometimes the expectation level in England is too high?
I think we should be aiming high. We should have higher standards because we have the player pool, the resources, the amount of Premiership funding.
There is something fundamentally wrong with the English system in the fact that you look at, in Ireland, for example, rugby is not the first sport at all. You've got Gaelic football is the number one sport. You know, that is most of the counties.
It's not the first sport here.
Yeah, I know, but it's still the pool of people you can pick from is still a lot larger compared to Ireland. Same with Scotland. I mean,
but also you've got surface area, so essentially you're right.
So that's what I'm saying, and even you compare it to parts of Australia. Half of the country are Aussie rules, half of them are rugby, and I think
look at the size of New Zealand.
Yeah,
in general, just in how well they do in sport.
But this is what I mean. Like I think there is something must be fundamentally wrong within the system.
Do you know what? I think it's a very English thing. It's to be risk averse. we are always fearful of what's the worst can go wrong. How do we almost limitate? I
think sometimes you have to let yourself.
But I think we need to be far more.
But boys, we're not heightening. Are we just not heightening the situation because of what England are? I don't think England. I think England have done really well in World Cups. Like I say this, there have been times as a South African fan where South Africans have just absolutely gone in on South Africa because we weren't right up there with the top. And I think, unfortunately, your transition time is just bad. The timing of the transition of players, of experience, coaching is really poor. However, it's a World Cup and anything can happen.
We go as underdogs. We go with. We have some big game players. We've got players who have been in some high pressured situations. We've got people, as you said, been there, seen it, done it. We hope they pull through. And I think Borthwick is going to go through a learning journey throughout it. And it is going to come back to Marcus Smith. He is going to be a superstar when he's given that chance. He's not going to get that easily. It's going to come with a political minefield. It's going to come with management. But ultimately, it's going to go to the point where you've got a superstar
also,
there, put the kid on.
I think that's a detriment to the players' mental health and also to probably the coach's point of view of playing players is the press, the English press. When a player has a poor run, or they love to hype players up, but they love even more to knock them down when they're hitting a low point. Look at just the examples with football. Or most recent example would be, is it Lauren James, who kicked out the World Cup? The amount of
we didn't even talk about the World Cup.
But I know the amount of hype around her and how she was young, fantastic talent, all of this amazing and that. And look, she had a moment of madness. She kicked out, which is silly, but she got really vilified.
Do you think so?
I think so.
I really think she didn't. I think that is one of the positives of the women's game. As much as you don't get the glory, you don't get the vilification.
No, I think the press are very clever at the way they word stuff or say stuff about people, and then you just look in the comments, you look what people write.
I'm very interested.
It's the average public.
Yeah, isn't it? That's what I mean. Not necessarily the press, but the way it's portrayed, and they say the puns and so on, and you see, I think look at Beckham when Beckham got they were burning effigies of him when he kicked out against Pochettino. Was it Pochettino? I think it was Poch, wasn't it? Who got him sent off?
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think it was Poch when he was playing Argentina. Sure, it was Pochettino.
It was Zidane's headbutt as well in 2006.
Yeah,
was it 2006 that he did it? Or was it earlier?
2006.
Yeah.
But you know, like the English press, the English press love to like build up players, and I think this is the thing. Marcus Smith, there was so much hype about him and everything, and then when it didn't really work, then it's sort of like, oh, he's useless.
But I don't think it's England in isolation. I just think that's any form of.
But
media,
I'm just saying that's why I think sometimes some of the coaches might be a bit risk averse because.
It comes with a heightened.
I think that's ironic though, because I don't think anyone would be averse to Marcus Smith playing that number 10 and going for it.
But if it doesn't work, then
it's you've got Ford and Farrell there in the wings. But it's hard because it's not just that. There's so many components, isn't there? As we were saying earlier, it's their lack of ability to win a collision. It's their ability to not get quick enough ball. It's then in defence become lack discipline. We look generally, if you look at the athletic build in their shirts, we look tubby. Generally, if you look at the other nations,
we can't really talk.
I know, but maybe that's just an English.
In our 30s.
But we're not there getting paid week in, week out. We're not professing to be the best of the best. But what we're
that's
saying
a great
is
point. The Scots look good, don't they?
Yeah, they look.
Ireland, the French, unbelievable athletes, and we just look like we're big.
Fijians were monsters.
Yeah. But they are ripped, they're athletics, they're quick, they're powerful, they're strong, they're going for 80 minutes. We've got guys dropping and dying for 50 minutes.
But even you look at sorry, I keep going back to Ireland but Cian Healy, you look at from the start of his career to now, he's so fit compared to. I did say the right player, didn't I?
Yeah.
Yes,
I believe. Is he injured now?
I think he got injured.
Yeah, he is.
He just got injured.
I think he's out.
But just seeing even the pack how much fit.
But even when there isn't fitness, so like just from a South African point of view, we have two packs. We played a 7-1 on Friday. Seven forwards to one back, and that's because we've got big fat props that need to be changed after 40 minutes because they can't do it, and they stick their weight behind it. But there's a clear strategic element there where it's like these big boys are going in there to go and call it the bomb squad in the second half to go and destroy in the. It's working to effect, and you can see it, right? You can see in the ruck. You can see all they really have to do is push, pick the lads up and maul. And you say, oh, that's a great simplification. It is. I was watching on Friday. Sorry, we've gone too long, but whenever we played to our centres or to the wing, or we played expansively, the ones that were there there's a clear narrative: is flankers number 8 and the two locks. You get that ball because the props aren't going to do it. And whenever there's a short crash ball, the props are in first for the ruck. Whenever the flankers are just waiting for the ball to move. And they never were longer. They never were more than 5 yards away from the breakdown, and it was pretty. South Africa brilliant. And just the one thing defensively, they've got a new defensive line. I don't know if you watched on Friday, but they overcommit with one of the centres, and he breaks off the pass back, and then the defensive line comes in about 2 yards behind. It's really clever. We got so many interceptions doing that. Anyway, I'm going off on a tangent, but we need. Sorry.
Well, look, I think we've said our.
I think you've enjoyed this too much.
I think you've enjoyed this.
Come on. It's very easy.
Because you know what it is? Damien and I don't get our phones out. We have to sit down and talk about a specific site. And that's what it is. That's what it is about. But we thank Jack because Jack is a professional rugby coach and he's got a pretty good track record.
He's going to insert. He's going to insert a bar.
I'm definitely going to be inserting this.
Have you got any like? You're a winner of anything from a year that you can put on your match of the day.
The thing is, being friends with Jack, I know it. We're getting a cinematographer on soon, and he's done loads.
We can't guarantee that.
He's keen. Ellis, I'll see you next time. Anyway, thanks boys, appreciate it.
Yeah, we had a good chat today.
What we can say though, this is an exciting World Cup because we actually
for the
first time do not know who's going to win it. Previous years you've gone this team or this team. We could have any of those 8 that we talked about going through that could nick a World Cup or win it really, really well. Exciting.
See you in a couple of weeks.
Thanks very much, boys.
Well, we're just going to say
We haven't stopped, have we?
No, we haven't.
God damn it.
So this has
Right.
been quite a mixed podcast. We had a bit of Taylor Swift chat. We've had Blue Beetle.
I think this will be separate.
We've had this will be a separate rugby one.
Yeah,
All right,
yeah,
so I'm going to leave it there. We
No,
need to-
no. I'll put it in the main one.
Put it in the main one, and then we can just.
But then
count.
I'll
Do a special cut.
cut this.
Anyway, thanks for listening, and we'll see you soon.